So it sounds like shit.
Yeah, it does.
But this is the part 3 video of this log splitter build. So if you haven't seen the other 2 videos, basically we're building a really heavy duty vertical stand-up log splitter from parts we've been accumulating and parts we've been buying. So it's got a 20 horse diesel engine. We got a 28 gallon per minute pump. Got the hydraulic oil tank mounted. The engine, fuel tank and fuel pump and filter mounted. The splitting carriage, the thing the splitting wedge is mounted to, is actually made from a forklift tow motor mast. So you can see the bearings and the carriage. So that was what the forks were mounted to go up and down, and I had to modify it to make the cylinder for my old splitter work. And I modified the cylinder too. I put bigger bungs on it, and I put 4 of them welded on there. So we'll wait to see what we do with that. The wedge is mounted. I did fix the wedge too. I originally, when I welded this wedge up, it was like 4 inches off the table. I ended up fixing that. I had to cut this horseshoe I made off, and I just had to raise that. So now we're like a 1/2 inch off the table, which I'm happy about. The log lift, still have to get a cylinder. We got a ton of parts, so we should have enough parts to get this thing splitting, going up and down. So that's pretty exciting. Got this giant valve. I think this is like a 30 or 32 gallon per minute valve. So it should be plenty for what we have. We want to make this thing go fast, and be really efficient. So one valve's for the splitting wedge and the other one's for the log lift. So I can get that mounted. I'm mounting it under the table somewhere so I can control the log lift. And then the splitting wedge is going to be off a foot pedal somewhere. So I can get that mounted. I got the filter for that too, hydraulic filter. We can get the tank tied into the pump. I got to mount the radiator for the engine. I got a new muffler and a new air intake. So it's coming together, but there's still quite a bit to do. So I'm going to get started mounting that giant valve underneath the table. This thing's heavy. I also don't have the right bolts yet, so I hope these work for now. So I think that's good. We got to tie in, these are the 2 ports for the split and wedge, and then those are the 2 ports for the log lift. We got to tie in and route hoses somewhere yet. All right, I got a little more of the engine squared away. I needed to get a new muffler.
Is this gonna blast you with exhaust while you're...
No, we're gonna, it's pointed in a bad spot, but we're gonna 90 it up probably and up through the, I'm thinking about building a hood for this, but that's down the road. Anyways, I got more of this engine squared away. I just gotta get a few more metric bolts to mount this water pump where the thermostat is, and then the pulley, and then that's getting really close to being done. We got to figure out the throttle. I got the radiator and all that squared away. Got some hoses ordered, and Andrew's working on, he got the screen in our oil tank. That looks like a Christmas tree. Oh, is that what it's called?
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. But we had to go with the 3-inch strainer because we got a 28 gallon per minute pump, and the 2-inch strainer only flows 23 gallons per minute, so we had to go up a size, and this flows like way too much than what we need, so I had to push it all down to what our pump intake is.
Yeah, it looks kind of silly, but in this nut here is like a long screen. It's like, I don't know, 8 or 10 inches long. It's like a really fine metal screen.
Mounted it. It's so tight like that. Who's responsible for that?
I got it out. It should go in.
Interesting.
It'll go. Kick it.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, interference fit. Somebody made the radiator mount a little bit too close to the oil tank. So yeah, there's
Not a lot of pressure.
you just use barb fittings and hose clamps because there's zero pressure. It actually would have, negative because you're
So what's that screen good for, gallons per minute?
53.
And our pump's 28.
28, but the next size smaller screen was only good for 23.
Yeah,
so I'm
that's no
trying to
good.
like keep it. I'm not trying to make a
Bottleneck.
yeah.
So I got all this 1/4 inch diamond plate for free. That's why I'm using it everywhere that I can, which is nice. But it's the only problem is it's got a really thick, like good quality epoxy paint on it. So there's no way my MIG welder can weld through it. So I got to grind it off the best I can, but it's just really thick and nasty. Somebody put that radiator in the way?
It would be a lot easier to do this without all that shit in here, but
How hard has it been to get the correct fittings?
very hard.
We've only had to do one return so far, but the project's not done. It's just hard to, I mean, we've done pretty good so far, but
It's hard to know what you need.
yeah, if you don't really
When you
know
don't.
about the fittings.
When you don't really know what you need.
So we planned on putting this hydraulic filter underneath here, right next to the valve back there, so it would be in there somewhere, but after all these reducers, or what are they called? Bushings, whatever. Yeah, they're called bushings.
Whatever.
After all those and the hose, there's not really enough room in there, so we plan on mounting this back here somewhere, and then this hose is going to go on the other side of the filter to the tank, and then a longer hose back to the valve. We got the right fittings for that this time?
You want it like that? Or do you want it like that?
No, more square. Yep, somewhere right there. Because we got to run our hoses this way.
Zinga!
And then up through behind the mast. And then up to the cylinder there. We're not really sure. I'm using a nut spacer. I don't have a short enough 5/16.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah, well.
I think this is the bullet connector for that. Connects to the fuel shutoff. Shutoff has power. It pulls that piston back, and it also supplies power to the fuel pump.
Andrew's trying to figure out this rat's nest of wiring that came with the donor vehicle. This is where we got the engine and radiator and fuel tank and a bunch of parts. That's what this diesel engine was in. So he's trying to steal the wiring harness and cut out what we need and don't need.
Well, it's got a lot of like safeties, and there's like
Yeah, safety, we don't need that.
headlights and horns and stuff that is totally unnecessary for our application.
But we're trying to use the
There's
the
a
fuel.
couple of the like this end I'm gonna have to reuse because I feel like that's probably
important.
a pretty. I mean, it's probably common,
But we want to try to make the harness work because it's got a fuel gauge, a temp gauge, and a couple other dummy lights, what would be
Oil
cool.
pressure.
Oil pressure and
Yeah.
stuff. So this is going to be like our dashboard up here, our gauges and switch and hour meter. Going to be tucked away in there, and I'll have like a plate to connect them to. So that's going to be pretty neat. I feel like if your log splitter doesn't have a dashboard, you should get a new log splitter, right?
it's not a real log splitter.
I think that's going to be pretty cool. So we have our temperature gauge, fuel gauge. These are some dummy lights. I don't even know what's in there. There's a battery light. It looks like glow plugs. Key switch, glow plug switch. We still have to mount. Still got to cut a hole for this hour meter. This is the hour meter that came with that engine. But I also want to get another hour meter that starts at 0 to keep track of the splitter hours. I think that'd be pretty neat. And then we still got to mount this toggle switch probably right here for the radiator fan we got to mount. And I've been losing sleep over what to do with this log lift. I thought from the beginning that this log lift was going to be a pretty simple procedure, but we have been trying like hell to figure out how to make this work. So obviously we need the log lift to start right there and lift up, and that's pretty simple, but we were really trying to get the log lift to start from the ground and then and lift all the way up and get vertical again for like traveling, and then I have that lock bar to lock it in. So we were really trying to make something work. Some splitters do it. I think Wolf Ridge has a splitter, and they use like a progressive link, and it swings it all the way up. It can do a pretty far swing. So we figured out how to do that, but we just realized we don't have the room here. So Andrew found this splitter, or this cylinder, pretty cheap at a local place. It was like 40 bucks. So we really want to try to use that just because it was so cheap and it's in pretty good shape. So we were trying to like mount that horizontally in there and then figure out another link, and it's just, it's too much, and we couldn't figure it out. It's just this, we don't have the right cylinder and we don't have enough room. So I'm just gonna mount it the, I guess, easiest way. Get. Go. Go. Get.
Keep going. Not very far.
So I'm not crazy about it, but I think it'll work pretty well for now. I like how strong it is. It's in a really strong position, like on the lift. And I got it reinforced pretty well. So we may revisit it in the future for a better design. It's gonna be kind of a pain in the ass to unpin it. On the rare occasion, I'm gonna have to put it up for travel mode. So it's not gonna be very often, I don't think, but we may revisit the log lift in the future to maybe get it. I don't know, we'll think about it in the future. The hinges I plan on replacing too, those are pretty wimpy. Is this gonna be sturdy enough? Yeah, I think that'll be all right. So we still got to get a fan, that's in the mail. And then I kind of made this shroud to, I don't know, keep the heat away from the engine and stuff. And I'll put like I want to build a whole hood over this whole front wedge part. So it'll be completely enclosed, and then we'll get some expanded metal to get some venting. And then the air cleaner will stick through the hood as well as the exhaust, right?
Correct.
Anything else? We're getting close.
Did you cut this?
Yeah, yeah.
Is that going to be too short?
It was bothering me, so I cut it. So we're going to bring this thing to Andrew's house now because he is more competent in wiring than I am, and that's fine because I get frustrated with it. So more will get done if it's at his house. So we're going to bring it to his house. I'm hoping it's all pretty tacked together. I'm hoping the axle shackles don't break out. They're kind of just tacked, but we'll find out.
More weld on those?
No.
Are you gonna?
No. We're also going to load him up with this Toro that we used as the donor vehicle because I don't have any use for it anymore. You might be able to use some part. It's mostly probably scrap, but he's got a running Toro, so we're going to give it to him. You think you can haul this?
Yeah, why not? It'll
Okay.
just look a little weird, but...
We finally have the 2 fittings we need to make this thing split wood. How's the wiring going?
It's a challenge.
It looks, you got a lot out here.
Well, you know.
Is it gonna, are you gonna make it work? Or do we need to call someone else in?
Oh no, we'll make it work.
Okay. Is it gonna split wood today?
Sure.
These are just a couple of the fittings we had to reorder because we didn't know, we didn't realize we got 4 of these same ones. And because they're so close together on this valve, you can't turn them on if they're the same height. They'd run into each other. So we had to get these extra long ones. No. We got to reroute these when it's done. I think these are the right length. This one might be too long. We might have to shorten that. We're not good at measuring, I guess.
Well, and the place we got the hoses from only sells them by
That too, we only got 1 foot increments.
that old. Who bought the oil? Make sure nothing's leaking.
Oh yeah, I know the guy who welded the oil tank up and kicked it in place. Remember that?
Yeah.
Fuel gauge is moving, that's cool. We're only putting like 10 gallons in. It'll probably hold 30 or something. We're just getting some fluids in it to test it out and run it. Andrew's not done wiring it yet. I'm just being impatient and want to see this thing work. We don't even know if it works yet.
Not even close to wiring.
He's not even close. We don't have hoses for the log lift yet either. So I don't think, I mean, if we don't move that valve, oil shouldn't come out of those, right? We'll find out at least. I don't think, they shouldn't.
I'm glad you're confident.
Yep.
Fuel pump.
Give her a shot. Think we got to bleed the injectors. So for whatever reason, this thing, yeah, it might be garbage. We had this thing running like 3 months ago. Yeah, we might scrap the whole thing. We had this thing running like real good. Like 3 months ago, it was running smooth, idling fine.
If you watched the prior video.
Yeah, we made a video on it, but the middle cylinder is not firing. There's some blow by. We have no idea what's going on. So of course I ordered some Chinese injectors, and that's the first thing we're gonna start with. Hopefully that's our issue. Could be worse.
Compression test will tell you everything about what's going on.
What are you, a diesel mechanic?
No, I'm not.
So we put the new injectors in. It's running a little better, but it's not, the middle cylinder is not firing for some reason. It's like not smoking as bad and it's running okay, but it's definitely low on power. So we're kind of bummed out about that. But it splits wood, so we're gonna split a log on 2 cylinders. It's only running on 2, so it's kind of, yeah, it's kind of low on power. You snuffed it. We're not full throttle either, but it seems to move pretty quick, which we're happy about. So it sounds like shit.
Yeah, it doesn't
But-
sound good.
It's not. We're pretty bummed out. We had this thing running a few months ago when I got it, and it seemed to run pretty well.
Yeah, it seemed to run perfect, and then it's sat, and now it's, I don't know if it's something we did, or we just, it didn't have any load on it before or anything, and we never caught it, but it's depressing.
So I'm gonna end this video here. Probably be tearing this thing apart, figuring out what's wrong with it. Other than that, stay tuned for what part are we on? 4? This is 3, 4, something like that.